Hello everyone, Zillerant here, and today in Ash Echoes I want to take a look at Echomancers and Memory traces and kind of go over kind of very basics of how they function, as well as like when it comes to their skills, as well as other things relating to them, and how they all come together into making a team. Now this isn't going to be going into depth on building teams or anything, it's just kind of looking at them. Now the first thing I want to take a look at here will be the team comps within the Echomancers and how they are set up. So when you look at team setups, the first thing you'll see is you will have a leader within your teams. This is kind of the one that determines the whole entire build as a whole. It kind of determines what your stats are going to be, as well as kind of who you're going to build around. We'll go more into depth on actually building your leader, but you actually run them through what's called the Nexus here. And for anyone who's played HSR, I've found, and I've asked others, and it works kind of similar to Divergent Universe, and that you're slowly building up your stats as you're going through a simulated world. Alright, so we take a look at an Echomancer page here itself. We'll go ahead and take a look at Freda, which is kind of the one that I've been focused on right now and building up. The first thing you'll see in the top left here is their element. This game does have elemental interactions, so like she's a water unit, and so if she could put water on the field, you can interact with it in certain ways. So if you have a water unit and an electric unit, for example, and there's water on the field, you can electrify the water to do extra damage there. There's a lot that goes into this, and we're not going to go into it in this video, but just know the element plays a role in the capabilities on the field, and that you're going to build your teams around those elements and their interactions. The other one here on the left of that is their class. So all the units have different classes, like she's a support. And a big thing that I've seen so far that you'll want to take class into consideration for will come to their skills. And it's because some skills and passes will apply to the entire team when it comes to their capabilities. And so we can actually take a look at that here in Extension here. This is kind of like a leveling system for the Echomancer. Just like a lot of gachas, you have the area where you can farm up these different types of materials. Once you get enough of the materials, you can level them up to the next level. If I compare this to like the Sword of Convalar, you can almost think of this like their ranks, how you're ranking up. This isn't their level itself, but their ranks. So as you go up in level, at officer level, you can then also take them up on this, and this kind of increases their basic stats, their skills, their max level, their skills can be, as well as their engraving as a leader. Now this is the max level it's capable of being. This isn't actually determining their level specifically. You actually have to do that within the Nexus, which we'll do in a further video. But when you actually take a look at some of these skills, you can see, like on the leader ones, she has one that increases healing by 20%, and it's doubled within a wet environment, and this is a passive skill. But up here you can see where it says classes, tactician, and support. So that's where the class itself is going to be very key in determining which skills are going to apply to a unit. There are some that will say applies to all units, but like these ones specifically tell you which class. Alright, so we go into the next section, their combat skills here. They have different types of skills. There's a couple of different ways that they can be shown. The first one is active, and what that just means is it's a skill you have to actively use within the combat itself. This other one here, Seed, is their ultimate, basically. So after they accumulate enough energy to use it, they can activate it. And then when you have, we'll take a look at one, so we have selection. So this one just means that you can select a following skill to use, so that means there's just multiple skills built within it. And then the other one here is auto, and so this is just a skill that's going to automatically use as the fight's going on, and this one doesn't require you to actively use it. And so the last thing down here is going to be their it's their basic attack as well as their traits within their kit. So you can kind of see here with her, she's not one to attack, she's just a support unit, and then her basic trait is that when present, it increases the attack of all units. And so all the units have this, so like if you look at her, she actually has a basic attack, and then all of her traits down here. And so that's kind of their skills as well as their trait. The next section here you'll look at is their seed, and this is just effectively leveling up for duplicate. So as you get dupes of them, you unlock extra things that just makes them outright better as a unit. So it's just like any other game, that how they handle dupes, like any of the Hoyoverse games. Just makes the unit a lot better as you get more duplicates of them. All right, when we go to the next section here, a leader record. This is kind of where you can see all their stuff relating to him as being a leader. So you have the skills that they have as automatically as becoming a leader. You have their tactical engraving record, and so this is basically their level after you've run them through the Nexus and built them up. We'll do a much more in-depth video on this system because this can get quite complex, but just a quick look at it. It just shows basically the highest that you've gotten within it. It gives you kind of your level. And this looks like it goes from CC all the way up to, I believe, SS on the levels. So I have her at the A20, so it goes up through the numbers as well. But then you can actually look at, if you actually click on the tactile engraving record, we can, let me see, how do I get it here? Yeah, you can see her build here. And so as you're running through the Nexus, just a kind of quick look at it, you have the memory traces. So these are basically they're not weapons, but they're kind of like the weapons of the game. You pick which ones you want to use with them as a leader to kind of determine their build. And then as you go through the Nexus, you use those as well as her to kind of build your team comp with all these extra skills that come alongside it. And so here's the basic stats that you get. And like I said, I'll go more into depth on this in a future video as this gets quite complex. And I don't completely know everything on how it works with all this yet. Just know that you're getting a lot of skills, which includes passes and other abilities, when you basically level them up. And then the other section here you have is archives, and this is just kind of some of that basic information type stuff. So like you have your bond level that you can get with them, and so you can increase this through using them within combat, as well as what's called tea time, which is kind of just a bonding event that you use to build it up. And so there's different rewards you can get through this. So you'll want to bond with all your units, because one of the big things that you'll see in all of these is the currency that is used for pulls. So you'll want to make sure that you're getting a wide variety of your units bond up, just so you can get all the way to the max level and eventually get all of the currency for pulls there. And then it has like all the recordings, their information. It's a character here for the lore, and then some other memory type stuff. The last section here is the fitness training, and so I haven't delved too far into this, but this is basically kind of like another part of their skills slash, I don't even know what you would call it, but it's just an area where you're basically leveling up their basic stats here through this training environment. And so I'll do another video on this completely in another video, but it's where you're basically leveling up your units, increasing scats, as well as some other little things here and there. But when we go back to the Echomancer, that's kind of just a quick basics of them. Now, most of their build, when it comes to actually building your Echomancers, will come down to the memory traces that you select when you run them through the Nexus here. Now we take a look at the memory traces themselves. So you'll see that they have a main stat that's kind of attached to them here. So you have vitality, attack, mastery, defense, and then a couple of others. So when you actually go into them, the main stat is basically when it comes to the ratio of your stats that you're going to be getting from this thing, it kind of shows you the ratio. So like this one right here is going to provide a lot of vitality of plus 18, so very little defense and some TRM there. So there's no attack or anything built into this, so this is a very defensive one. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get the other stats from other places. Like you have this one down here, which is attack. This has a mix of a plus 18 on attack, plus 5 on MST, as well as plus 7 on TRM. Now, when it comes to building your unit, you're going to be able to have multiple of these assigned to them. And so when it comes to actually building your units, you're going to want to get a good selection that all kind of fit into what you need for a specific team. Now, when we take a look at their info and rewards here, as you level them up, you can get some pulls. That's just kind of the main thing with them. It's kind of nice. It's like you've seen with other games, like HSR, a big one that I've played. You only would get rewards when you leveled up your units themselves, but this one you also can get pulls by leveling up your memory traces. Alright, and then we have over here the Trace Awakening skill. And so when you have this one applied, this is kind of the basic skills that you unlock with it here. Just know you'll be getting this through the Nexus. And the next one you have is the Nexus stats, and this is just more stats based on what you get from the levels from this card, so just a bunch of little stat increases. The next big page here, and this is a very big thing when it comes to building your teams, are these Nexus skills. Now, you're just by equipping this does not mean you'll have these skills themselves. These are you will be acquiring as you're running through the Nexus and determining your build for your team. but these are what can be acquired on this card, and you're gonna have multiple cards. Like I said, I'm not going to go in depth on this, but these are what are going to determine what your best teams are, and then as you're running through the Nexus, which of these skills you want to acquire as you're doing it. And like I said, it works very similar to, well, I wouldn't say very similar, but similar to Divergent Universe in HSR, where you're kind of picking the cards to kind of build your super team around the different buffs that you get. You can kind of think of it that way with these. Some of these are different active skills. A lot of them are passives. They impact different classes. So there's a lot of complexity of how you can build your team, and you can build it in a vast of different ways from what I've seen just testing it. So those are the skills that you can acquire, and then you have Trace Awakening. It's just another part of the Echoing Nexus. As you're leveling it up in the Nexus, you're going to slowly unlock these awakenings, and it just slowly makes it overall better. And like right now, at the beginning of the game, I'm fairly low level. So when I built my team around, like I have this card in my current leaders kit. I wasn't even able to get to the very end of this card because I wasn't able to get far enough within the Nexus. But that's kind of how it's going to work regarding building your memory traces. And like I said, I'm going to go more in depth in these later. I just want to kind of take a quick look. So that is the Echomancer and Memory trace. Now if we go back to the team setups here. Alright, here on the team setups, you can just kind of see my first team here. This is not anything that is efficient or good. This is just me having thrown a team together. This was from a quick setup, so I don't know how well these people jive together. I don't think they work well together at all, just because it has a vast range of elements, and who knows how good they are together. But you'll see at the beginning here, you have my leader, who is Freda here. Then you have like the basic stats that she has acquired through the Nexus. So she's in a level A20 from her Nexus level up. And you have the total points here. If I actually go into the details, you can actually see all the skills that I've acquired through running the Nexus, as well as what my memory traces I used as I ran through it. So I had a bunch of level 21s that I ran through. I have this level 60 because you can bring a assisting person into it, so I actually had someone else's come with me. And so as you run through, you're acquiring your different skills. So you have those as well as all the skills that I selected. And then you have all the stats that I selected as I built it up. A big thing like on this one that I did is I had a lot of vitality and defense cards up here. So you can see I built up a lot more vitality and defense than say attack or TRM or mastery. But those are all options. As you're just going through the Nexus, you're going to be selecting as you're building your unit. And then acquiring your skills, which kind of determines your overall build. And so I will go more in depth on all that later, but that's just kind of what it looks like there when it comes to building a team up. And that is just a quick look at Echomancers and their memory traces and how they kind of interact to a certain extent. I do plan to make a future video that goes more in depth with them. And then I also will make a video that goes through the Nexus and actually building up your leader in the whole team as a concept there. And then I will go through every Echomancer and memory trace in future follow-up videos as well. Memory traces do play a more important role, I feel, in this game than some others. So I think I will give dedicated videos to some of the memory traces. I will just kind of have to see how much time I have to that, because there's quite a few Echomancers and memory traces, so it will take quite a while to go over every single one of them. So I'll probably kind of look at them within a team comp position. So I'll pick a team comp and go over the Echomancers for that team comp and go over the memory traces that make it up. We'll kind of see. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that yet. But yeah, if you like this content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it has really helped. And thanks for watching.